Hey everybody, welcome to Game 2 of the Best of 3 series from the Viking Cup number 20, and this is Round 7 featuring Hasu spawning as the blue Protoss in the bottom left, and lalush spawning as the red Zerg up in the top right. And I guess this chat's here has to do with the map, Kulos Ravine. It is indeed a rather dark map, and it's actually a map that's hated by a lot of people because of there's talk of imbalance on it, and really, I mean, if you look at the map, I'll save that discussion for another day, but there's lots of terrain features on the map just behind the natural expansions, lots of areas for Protoss to blink into, and yeah, blink is really abusable on this map. So for now, let's watch and see what happens as both of these players are starting to build up their workers in what looks like a pretty traditional build so far, not seeing any crazy proxiness or anything of that sort. So for now, let's just talk about a quick recap of Game 1, and if you don't want to listen to it, mute the microphone, mute the headset, and come back to the game in just a minute. And of course, there's also a link that just popped up on your screen a second ago for watching Game 1. So if you want to go click that, do it. Come back to Game 2 when you're done. Alright, so for Game number 1, it was played on Desert Oasis, and Hasu was spawning in the southern position. He threw down a somewhat early expansion that was guarded by a very well-placed forge and a very defensible position over at the left part of his base, forcing the Zerg units to come down into a choke point, which was easily defended by force fields and a photon cannon. And the first major attack came from the Zerg, and it was pushed off with pretty much just repeated use of force fields and eventually a Colossus taking to the high ground of the cliff, knocking off the Zerg forces, forcing them back. But the Zerg went for a fast expansion, and really just, once he got his economy going, he just kept the pressure on. The Protoss really didn't do too much in the way of harassment. He used some Phoenixes, but other than that, not really so much anything else. So the Zerg just pretty much went unchecked for the first part of the game, with the exception of the Phoenixes, and just built up and dealt with the Phoenix harassment and eventually just overpowered the Protoss player and just kept expanding the whole time. So that was definitely very good on lalush's part. So looking here, we are in Game 2. lalush is definitely looking to secure a second victory and take this best of 3 series, whereas Hasu is really trying to step it up, try to maybe score a victory here and give himself another chance at the prize. Speaking of the prize, I mentioned this in Game 1, but for this, this is the Viking Cup number 20, and the prize is 50 euros as well as a ticket to the DreamHack Winter 2010, and claiming the guys are good stuff there, lalush. And anyways, it's a ticket to the DreamHack Winter 2010, and it also gives you an entry, a wildcard entry into the Starcraft 2 tournament there. So gives you a chance to really prove your stuff in front of a lot of people. So for right now, we are seeing a wall-off by the Protoss player. Now, this is viable because he does have a second entrance right here, which is guarded by the rocks. And there's another entrance right up here at the top, which most of you who have played this map already know this. But for those of you who do not know, there's this expansion right here, and also has a Zonaga Watchtower, so pretty good stuff there. And I'm guessing that because of the fact that we have this wall off, we're either going to see some sort of aerial play, which I don't think is going to happen at this point because of the fact the gas was delayed, or we're going to see a push into this expansion relatively quickly. I do not know what's going to happen, as for now we do have a second gateway going down, or a third rather, as a second one's hanging out down here. A warp gate technology about 50% complete, just got the chrono boost buff from there, as the Zealot is now punching away at these rocks, trying to knock them down, claim his expansion as soon as possible. Zerg does have a Zergling over here, as well as an observer. I'm assuming the Zergling is just here to just kind of hang out, make sure the Protoss doesn't move up through here. You can see it is retreating back towards the base now, as there are a ton of drones that have just morphed and being pulled off the mineral line from the main and thrown onto the expansion over here. Looking over here, we can see there's a pretty good number of drones as well. Roach Warren is going down for the Zerg player, and you can also see pretty much what's going on up here. A Twilight Council is on the way, and a couple Stalkers as well. So, you know what, I'm really leaning towards Blink. I think we're going to see some Blink Stalkers here in the very near future. It's definitely the map for it. If there was one map for it, this would so be it. So, the Protoss players continue to knock out the destructible rocks here. We have a lair on the way, and yeah, he is claiming another geyser right here. Going to need the additional gas for the roaches, and we'll just have to see what happens here as both players are continuing to macro up. Zerg player is really pushing the economy right now, trying to get this expansion fully saturated. Right now he's sitting on 15 drones, 16 is now arrived, and he is just waiting for, looks like he's waiting for something, probably his evolution chamber and the lair, and he's building more overlords, so we're looking at some sort of probably a mid-tier push here. But for now, you can see that Blank Tech is almost done. The expansion has been cleared out with the destructible rocks. Probe hanging out here at the top of the ramp, and there goes the expansion right there. So the Protoss is definitely sitting in a very good position. Probably looking to use some of that blink here in the very near future, as you can see he's hanging out right here at the top of the ramp. There goes the blink right there, starting to take out this Overlord, as this is the first, I won't call it the real engagement, but there goes the Overlord, splattering all into the Vespene Geyser, as the Zerg player is continuing to build up his forces. You can see he really doesn't have a lot in terms of the army. He's sitting at 48 out of 40, or 48 out of 52, whereas the Terran player is sitting, or Zerg. God, I'm tired right now. Can you tell? The Protoss player is sitting at 48 out of 50. But looking at the income right here, you can see the supply count for the red player. It's drones, almost entirely drones and queens. As a matter of fact, I think it is all drones and queens, except for a couple of Zerglings which are trying desperately to knock down these rocks. But let me just tell you, that's all kinds of not going to happen here, as the Protoss continues to take the high ground, try to knock off the extractor here. This is actually going to hurt a lot for the Zerg player, as he will lose access to that gas, as he has thrown out quite a few Hydras and Roaches here. Don't know if this is going to be enough here. You can see he has blinked down. The blink timer will be done. And there he goes. So he will come up to the top of the ramp here and get some more free shots here, as he continues to take advantage of this. Using one... Oh, that was a very good idea there. Trying to use one Stalker to bait the Zerg forces back. But now he's blinking down to the southern portion, trying to split up the forces now, as once again these drones are just kind of hanging out here. He knows that it's really not a great idea to mine at this point in time, because he doesn't know that Stalkers aren't up there, but they could be back there at any second, which they are indeed there now. Robotics Facility and Dark Templar Shrine warping in for the Protoss player. Infestation Pit, a couple more Hydras, and a Ground Therapist level 1 are on the way. At this point, the Zerg is in a lot of trouble. He has effectively lost his expansion. He relied on that a good bit to get into the game here, and this Blank Stalker attack came just in time to shut down the Zerg's plan pretty much entirely. There goes the Queen right there. Sacrifice that, trying to get some more kills, but unfortunately it's just not going to happen. Fortunately, the Zerg does have an Overlord over here and is able to get vision, so it's not entirely hopeless. But for right now, it's pretty darn close to it, as the Protoss still continues to put pressure on with the Stalkers here. We can see the Shrine just about complete. This expansion, though, sitting great. Right now, the Protoss is in a fantastic position. The rocks are still here, full HP. This place is walled off right now. And looking down here, we'll have to see what happens as the Robotics Bay is on the way. Might see some Colossi in the very near future. That would definitely be another unit to abuse on this map. I mean, look at this. This Natural is so susceptible to attacks. I guess you call it mobility attacks with the Stalkers, and if you decide to put up a transport and turn it into a warp prism, warp in units right here just in the front lines. I mean, this is just so abusable. But for right now, the Zerg is doing the best that he can. He has his Hydras here trying to get some great kills, but the Protoss did lose one Stalker, but he was trying to blink away. Unfortunately, just was not quick enough. Meanwhile, over here, a Dark Templar is walking right into the base. I don't even think the Zerg has seen it. He is trying to keep a lot of pressure on the expansion here to keep the Zerg player not focused, while the DT does come in here and starts slicing away at these drones, knocking out 2 drones on the gas. And here goes more right here as the drones finally do run away. Meanwhile, the Protoss once again, or the Stalkers once again, trying to get some more free kills over here. And there's the DT in the mineral line of this expansion as well. Now you notice this is actually a great spot for it to be in, as the Zerg is having to deal with his Stalkers right here. He probably didn't hear the Dark Templar for the first 2 seconds because of all the fighting back and forth. But finally, this Dark Templar's days are numbered, as he is indeed surrounded by the Zerglings and the Hydras. Once again, the Blink Stalker's coming in here to get some more free kills. You can see that's going to go pretty well for him, but they are having to retreat. And look at these Stalker's kills, man. I mean, you can see they've picked off a good number of units. I think even a couple of them that had some more kills haven't died. And there goes a couple of them right there. Hydra's getting in a good position with the Overlords and whatnot. Looking over here, he is still sitting in a pretty good spot, but he is finally retreating back here. I guess he just decided, you know what, I'm not really going to be able to continue this pressure because the Zerg has been able to hold on to it, and he's got the expansion saturated, and he is producing from it now. Overseer has morphed in, getting ready to move out, it looks like. You have a couple infestors hanging out here, as more drones are being transferred back to the main, it looks like, where it has just been devastated by the Dark Templar, man. Let me just tell you, this has got to... Oh, excuse me, actually no. The Dark Templar knocked out some of them, and then the rest of them were transferred down here to the natural while they while the Zerg dealt with the DT down there, and then they went up there and killed that. But sorry about that. I guess some of the action here just took place while I was looking at something else. But in the meantime, a Protoss player, you can see he does have 3 more gateways on the way. Here comes an attack from the Zerg player, knocking out the Cybernetics core with relative ease. You can see there's not a lot the Protoss can do at this point in time, as the back here is largely backed off. You can see, however, the Protoss is moving in here to sandwich the Zerg forces. You can see that a couple of them are sitting out here relatively undefended, but some great force fields go down, keeping the Zerg over here bunched up, allowing the Protoss to deal with the rest of these Zerglings. You can see a fungal growth did go down. But unfortunately for the Zerg player, I don't think this is going to go too terribly well, as he is definitely fighting on the Protoss force's home territory. You can see the warping units pretty much wherever he darn well pleases, and he does have the cooldowns to do exactly that, and he's doing that right there. You can see the Zerg are literally in a corner now. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that attack right there. Not too much needs to be said about that. Infestors tried to do what they could with the fungal growth, but it just was not enough. Like I said a little bit ago, this map is incredibly good for this type of strategy that Protoss decided to employ, and I guess there's a comment right there, actually. Hard to imagine a more imbalanced map existing in any category, and with that, lalush has left the game. So let's go on to game number 3 and see what happens. It is lalush's turn to pick which map is played. And let's go check out what happens, see who scores victory in this best of 3 series.